Hello, my name is Shy Artist. I am the artist that helps paint items, backgrounds, graphics for Serenity of the Mind. Now, the owner of Serenity of the Mind, the content creator, is my husband, and I, Shy Artist, the painter that paints what he needs for his channel and his blog and his store, is me. And today I'm going to talk to you about how I do my paintings, my process, if you will. Well, this here is a piece of masonite. I had my husband cut this out for me larger than my paper, my watercolor paper. I use Fabriano 1264. It's made in Italy. It's a very good watercolor paper. This is the student one. This is not the professional, but student is very good for what we use it for, because we paint real items on this paper and then we scan it to digitize it. The first thing I do before I do anything to make sure I don't make a mistake and paint on the wrong side of the paper, which would make a big mess, is I always write at the very top, right side, so I don't make a mistake. This template makes sure I get the painting in the correct area so that when I'm finished painting and it's dry and everything, I can just cut it out around these lines here and have it fit on my scanner. So I'm going to do that right now. I also need an edge to tape it down. Now today, I'm going to make some speech graphics, like speech bubbles, if you will. And here we go. So now I've got the area that I'm going to work in. The next thing I do is get my sheet of watercolor paper off. Put my template back, as I sure don't want to lose it. There we go. And now I have my watercolor paper that I'm going to be using, and I will get this pad out of the way. Now, when you're painting, even if you're not going to do a wash where you have to have the whole page completely wet, you still want it taped down so it doesn't move. And even if it's just something as small as a graphic, it still can warp a little bit. So we always have to tape it down to make sure we keep it neat, so we don't have a mess. I use painter's tape. Some artists use that sticky brown tape that you see on some packages. I don't particularly like that. I like the painter's tape. It's what several of my teachers who taught me, professors, told me to use, and I like it, so that's why I do that. Now I also use the end of my scissors here to kind of burnish this down, because you don't want it to come up prematurely. It's even more important if you're doing a wash and the entire paper's wet. So now that we're almost finished with that, I had already mixed some paint, because I already started on a speech bubble. And I'm going to show you that speech bubble as soon as I'm done with this. And that's my process with the getting it set up. This was the last speech bubble I did, and I'm going to finish up the set of speech bubbles. I will probably not paint the burst today because then I would have to use my rigger, and I really wanted to show you this more softer effect. So I make templates for things. I draw it out, put it on watercolor paper because watercolor paper really is like a cardboard. And I do that so that I can make it reasonably the same. I say reasonably because I'm painting. And watercolor paints do their own thing. They really, really do their own thing. So I'm doing this very lightly. So you can see this here. Now many of you might want to know, why did we start doing this? Why did I start doing this for Serenity of the Mind? The reason I started it is because we were using things that everybody used that was free, but then everybody was using it, and we didn't look any different from any other channel, which wasn't good. And also YouTube has started to say that too many people looking the same or using AI is going to be taken down. And if you go on YouTube right now, you will see that people who had millions of subscribers and were making millions of dollars on their channels are now being taken down because they just used AI, and they used the same thing over and over again, and they put up like 20 videos a day. We don't put up 20 videos a day. It's hard enough to do one a week, to be honest, because we do it all ourselves. Now, I'm mixing my paint here. I had it already mixed from the last speech bubble, but I think I'll show you what I used. This is my Daniel Smith. Oops, sorry. This is my Daniel Smith. Oh, it's upside down. Anyway, I don't know why they did it that way. I started with Daniel Smith because, well, it's a high quality paint, you know, and my professor told me to use it. But then I switched on over to making my own paint. This is my own hand-mulled white titanium paint. My number 6 round. Now, I made this particular paint by mixing quadrant rose and what's that other color? And ultramarine blue. That's how I got this. And then I used a lot of this white paint that I made with white titanium pigment. Now I already had some mixed up, so from doing that circular speech bubble. So right now I'm going to just show you this rectangle because I would have to get my rigger to do that one, and I want to do a soft one right now. Now recently, this is a little bit darker than I want, so I'm going to add some more water to my paint. Because I'm using this to edit, to put on a scanner, that's better. Because I'm using this to put it on a scanner, I can't let it be as, I mean, I would really love to have it very see-through. But then but then I would have to use a different setup than a scanner. I always edge the outsides first. Turn it around so I can do a better job. I am not trying to make this perfect like AI. In my opinion, I just don't like perfection anyway. I like things to look real, alive. It's just the way I am. I think it's more interesting if it's not perfect. And this is one of the reasons I like watercolor, because watercolor itself is very alive. Now this is what we call a wet on dry technique. I don't wet the paper, I just use wet paint and go over it. And yes, there is a way where they kind of use a dry brush, and it makes an interesting texture. But today I'm using my round number 6 paintbrush. As you can see, the paint does its own thing. I go over it and it just, I'm trying to make sure it's dark enough for my thing, and as you can see it starts to, I'm going to go over this edge a little bit because it's kind of pale. I'm afraid it won't show up on the editor. And that's it. I'm going to wash my brush, put my supplies away because I have 6 cats, and I certainly don't want their little paws on this. And next time I'm going to show you how I do wet on wet to make graduated backgrounds. Until then, take a look at our store, which is store.serenityofthemind.com, or serenityofthemind.com is our blog website, or our channel at Serenity of the Mind. Until next time, thank you very much,